So you've been an entrepreneur and an entrepreneur, right? So you work within a confine, but you are very innovative in identifying some of the really the best systems to be able to implement the problem you're solving. And then the way in which I was able to get connected with Jim was during his leadership at Iron Tribe. And so for those that aren't aware of Iron Tribe, can you just give a brief explanation of,
Yeah,
what
so
was
Iron
built?
Tribe is, a fitness community that is in 47 locations throughout the Southeast. Started here in Birmingham, Alabama. My partner and the founder of the first gym, Forrest Walden, was a guy I met. I was working out at his gym, approached him about expanding it because it was such a great experience. And we ended up growing it to 4 gyms here in Birmingham, and then we franchised it. It's group fitness, but with personal training. So it's done in classes, CrossFit style workouts, but it's really evolved more into high intensity interval training style workouts. But it's really less about what you're doing in the workout and more about it's a community, people's third place. They go there because of the other members and their coaches. And so, before Iron Tribe, I started my first company in '05. And I think
Okay.
it's important to talk about because it's a failure. So I started my first company in '05 when I got out of Montevallo. And as you said earlier, in '99 or so, technology started to explode. And I had this experience as a college athlete where I was mailing out DVDs and VHS tapes to try to get recruited to schools outside of my region. All my offers coming out of New York to play college baseball were in the Northeast. I wanted to play down south. The players are better, the weather's better.
Right.
I think the girls are prettier. So I'm trying to
Yes.
get down south. And so I'm mailing out tapes and stuff, and I end up getting this opportunity to go to Montevallo. But when I got out in '05, I thought, there's a way technology could scale mailing out DVDs
Right.
and VHS tapes. This could be done on the internet. And so we created Next Specs to be a place where high school athletes could upload their highlights and an encrypted version of their academic transcripts and email college coaches. And so we did that for 5 years from '05 to 10. And at first, man, we took off. We were selling the product to high schools. They were paying an annual subscription for it. Then we started doing state deals with the Alabama High School Athletic Association, the Louisiana High School Athletic Association, et cetera. And about 3 years in, I made a really big mistake. And that is I got rid of our subscription revenue and I made it free for all athletes and tried to switch to an advertising model. And we ended up selling it, but for parts in 2010. And we were early, if you're familiar with Huddle, we were early in that
Yeah, I was
game.
about to say
we
it
were
sounds
early
like
in that
Huddle.
game.
Yeah.
And so that business and the mistakes I made, I did raise capital and I gave up too much equity for the raise that I did. And I did hire people and there's things that I would have done different. And we did have some success, but then I made some decisions that I wouldn't have made if I look back at it. Man, that was huge for me. And it put me in a place by 2010 when we had finally sold it where Forrest and I met. I was a client at his gym and I was able to jump into something new. And over the next 7 years, from really 2010 to the end of 2016, we built Iron Tribe into a national franchise.
Wow. So prior to Iron Tribe, you mentioned about, a few aspects that you were able to learn on the fly. What would you say would be one or two takeaways? Hindsight's 2020. We sold the business for X, Y, and Z. But if I would have made this change, or if I would have kept this type of structure, we probably would have, 2x, 3x what we've been able to sell it for.
I think the most important thing you can do in business is find ways to generate recurring revenue.
Yep.
And we had a really good model the first couple of years of Next Specs where high schools were paying us an annual fee. And the reason recurring revenue is so important is because you can, if you do multi-year contracts, predict out basically what your revenue is going to be as a base every year when you start the year, and then add new revenue to it.
Thanks.
Investors will pay 10x your gross top line revenue to buy a company with good recurring revenue and good year-over-year growth. I didn't know that when I was building that business. And the advertising business is lucrative, but it's a little more episodic from a revenue standpoint. It's tougher to plan around, and it can put you in tough spots with the capitalization of your business. You can run out of cash easier when you're generating episodic revenue. A lot of people tie themselves in whatever business they build. They got this one client that makes up 30, 40, 50% of their entire business.
Yep.
I call it the danger of one.
Yeah.
If that guy leaves or that company leaves, you're screwed.
So what?
Right? And everybody knows this story if you're an entrepreneur. And that was another mistake I think we made, because when we switched to advertising, we had one really big sponsor, a sporting goods store, that when we lost them, it really hurt us. And if we just had that grind out subscription revenue model with high schools that we were already building, I think it would have been a different outcome. It would have been a better outcome financially when we sold it.